Live.
We are live and we are back 2 weeks later, and Vittorio looks like he had a breakdown.
I did. It was fucking class though. I had a breakdown. I didn't look at my phone for 9 days. I turned off my phone entirely. Just
Yes, I couldn't get in touch with you.
Nothing.
Didn't even try, did I?
no one did, which was sad. But like,
Do you honestly turn your phone off for 9 days?
yeah, I was just like,
I didn't even notice.
but it was mad. So the first 2 days off my phone, every time I like closed my eyes and when I tried to go to sleep at night, my brain would like invent notifications like popping into my head. So I would like see WhatsApps from people that my brain was just like making up. But that went away after 2 days. But I think I'm addicted to my phone.
Fucking insane.
Do you ever get that feeling though that there's a vibration in your pocket and then you go and check your phone and it's not even there?
Yeah.
Yes, that's happened to me.
Yeah, I get that a lot. I couldn't give up my phone for.
I was just like, I need, because lockdown has been so flat out and just like constantly on the fucking thing. I was just like, I need to get away from this shit for a little bit.
The only person I've known to have turned their phone off for 9 days was my ex-girlfriend, who told me she was studying, but she was actually on holiday in Iceland with her ex-boyfriend. Wow. And I found that out when I was in Edinburgh. Amazing. Anyway.
Awesome.
This is Doing Bits Live, the podcast where we speak to some of our most favourite comedians from all over the world about all things comedy, and sometimes we discuss new material. And our guests today are... Oh, what's that? That's a nice noise.
It's a doorbell.
It's a doorbell.
I mean, it's very unprofessional.
Is there anyone else to get the doorbell while you're
No, there's no one else in.
Go get it. Oh my god! So we've lost our guest temporarily while they go to the doorbell.
If it's the guy we were talking about before the show started.
We want to see the whole thing play out. Basically, there has been, what should we call it? Some drama in the world of love for Larry Dean.
So much gossip. I'm really excited to get the inside scoop. I don't want to give away anything he doesn't want to. We won't give away any names.
We're not going to give anything away, but there's a lot going on in Larry Dean's life. Now, we're on YouTube live, so of course, remember you can comment and ask questions as you go along. And if you're on Spotify and all that stuff, make sure you hit subscribe. What have you been up to? Just took a break. What have you been up to, Vittorio, just away from all this while we wait for
I went to visit my girlfriend who lives outside of a village called Faff. So, very remote area.
Where is that?
Cumbria. So, like 4 miles from the border with Scotland.
So, how did you ferry it? Did you plane it?
I flew to Newcastle and they picked me up. So, it was very nice. Just chilled out. Lots of dog walking. And me being me, fucking shit at holidays, made a short film. So
of course you made a short film. What's it called?
Fly.
Oh yes, I saw it. It was really, really good.
It's so stupid.
It is so stupid. Larry's back. Larry, was it anything juicy?
It was a guy trying to like sell his energy, cheaper energy.
Is that because you're wasting so much on fairy lights and ring lights?
Was that?
Is that because you're wasting so much on ring lights and fairy lights for your backdrop?
Oh, come on.
Oh boy.
The fact as well, I thought I'll turn them on because I think they fucking really appreciate it. I cleaned up this area for you, cunt. Yeah, sell me energy. But he did the standard thing of like, I'm not trying to sell you anything today, Larry. You know, I'm just trying to like, you know, it wasn't Kevin Bridges.
Kevin, I haven't heard from Kevin for a while. What's happened?
Yeah, fuck's sake, Larry, man.
He's used to playing.
But I've heard that a lot in your area. I've been overcharged for your electrical bills.
I love how you hear that as rumour as well. All the rumours you can hear about an area.
That's the major gossip of the street, man. Oh god, I got charged an extra 50 pence for a kilowatt. So that was it. Nothing exciting. I was hoping it was going to be some fucking drama and then have somebody sat next to me for the rest of it.
We were hoping that it would be that. We were hoping the drama you were telling us about would play out. Anyway, so Larry is here. He's absolutely brilliant. One of the best comedians in the country. One of my favourites. And a brilliant dinosaur impressionist.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Larry, how have the last few months been?
What
have you been up to?
Good. I mean, the last 9 days have been really difficult because I've not been able to text the person I wanted to. But
well, yeah, I know. They've been in a village outside. Faff.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I can't even I can barely remember what happened yesterday. So, but then I've gone back on my Instagram stories to kind of do like, when you go in your archive and then you kind of go, oh, fuck, I can't believe that was a year ago. But then I've
never
back.
heard it pronounced archive before. That's nice.
That's Scott's pronunciation of archive is archive.
I didn't know that.
No, it's not. I'm talking shit. It's archive. He just can't pronounce it.
Hold on, have I got this? Have I made a mistake? No. How do you pronounce it?
Archive.
Archive.
But they are called chives. You're right. They're called chives. But why is it archive?
What did I say? Oh no, this is like when I called fucking. I can't even know. I don't even know the real name of the football team, but I called them Steppenhouse Muir on fucking TalkSport, and then I got loads of tweets saying Steppenhouse Muir. What the fuck are you on about? What Strenhouse Muir? Something.
Stenhouse Muir. Yeah.
Stenhouse Muir. How does the English guy know? But aye, lockdown has been great. I've been doing a lot of reading.
That's so funny. What did you? Sorry, you were saying you saw something in your archive. What did you see in your archives?
In my previous story, I saw just stuff from like March and April, and I was like, "Fuck, that feels like 2-3 years ago."
Yeah.
But then do you ever get that thing that you kind of you get worried that you're not as funny as you used to be? And then you kind of look back, but it's a bit like the way I get about like how skinny I am. Like if I take a picture of myself today, I'll be like, oh, I look fat. But then if I look at the same picture 2 weeks' time, I'll be like, oh, I wish I was skinny like I was 2 weeks ago. I get the same thing with jokes. So when I look back at jokes of like stuff I put on Instagram or whatever, I'm like, oh man, I used to be really funny back then. At the same time, I'm posting something probably funnier at the moment.
Do you ever get this thing where like you have all these jokes and you're super proud of it, and then you get to that stage where you're like, okay, I'm a bit tired of this material, like, and you start doing more new material stuff, and you're like, okay, this is a new, and you just look out into the horizon. And you're like, how did I ever write any funny jokes? Like, I can't even conceive of how I came up with any of those jokes. It's just a blank canvas. And you're just like, what? How do you do this?
Do you know if I get that thing though, of which like you're like, and there must be a funny bit in here somewhere. And you still do the same shit fucking joke for months. And all of a sudden your brain will just give you like, it'll almost like hand you over and be like, oh my God, here's that fucking joke you've been looking for 3 months.
Right,
and
yeah.
It only happens once and it's on stage at the same time, and you come up with that off the cuff line. And then you go, oh great, now I'll move on to the next bit. And then it happens all over again.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like, it's not even you doing it.
Sorry, just all kind of went a bit fuzzy there. Carry on.
Okay.
Right.
No, I have bits that I literally remember. I know I wrote like one of my favorite bits of my own. I wrote on a bus, but I don't remember like thinking about it at all. I remember my brain just went, this is the entire joke, and I wrote it word for word, and it hasn't changed since then. And I was like, I didn't do that. It doesn't feel like my joke anymore.
God did that.
And to be honest, guys, I've been doing that whole archive bit for years, man.
Have you done any kind of gigging at all in the last couple of months? Some drive-in gigs have started, some open-air gigs, but have you done any online, drive-in, open, anything like that?
I've done 2 online gigs, and I quite like them actually, because usually a lot of there's a video of me doing like a gig online of back when we used to do it in front of audiences, and basically I do a bit about a face, but then while I'm on stage, you can even see in my face that I'm like, oh yeah, this isn't gonna work because the room's big, so they won't be able to see my fucking face.
Right. So
at least when I do an online gig, I can like go up really near the camera, and then they can see fucking like the state of it, and they can see like my eyes and shit like that. So So, but it's not going to be handy when I get back to like normal gigging, because what's going to happen is I'll just go on stage and they'll be like, "Oh, I'll do the bit with my eyes or the weird face thing," and then it's just going to fail because he can't see my face anymore.
Basically, what Larry just told us there is he does gigs big enough where people can't actually see his face.
You're at that.
They can on the screen behind me.
Yeah.
Listen, you got to build yourself up on these
right,
YouTube live things, man.
You have to watch.
That is the game you play.
You have to
Look,
watch.
I'm building myself up. I drew them. Right?
Yeah, you don't want Ronaldo to talk about training against Stenhousemuir. You want him to talk about fucking playing Real Madrid. Yeah, absolutely.
Exactly. That's not fairy lights. That's just my belt.
You have to watch Larry's jokes back on VAR to catch all the facial expressions properly. At the end of the set, the MC comes on and goes.
Oh, that's so funny.
He's put that down as offensive. Yeah, that was offensive.
Tell us, so other than the fact that you normally do gigs to like thousands and thousands of people, what
All
do you...
right, fucking hell, all right. Let's maybe leave this chat for a bit. Fucking hell, man.
Tell us what you miss about stand-up.
I miss being the centre of attention, to be honest.
Yeah.
It's so bad. But I'm going to be blunt about it. I fucking miss being the centre of attention. Also, I don't like who... well, it's just like, like 5 or 6 days a week you'll be gigging, and then one day a week you kind of come back home and you're like, hey, personal life. And then as soon as anything starts bubbling up, you're just like, oh, I've got to go and gig. I don't like how this has forced me to have a personal life.
Yuck.
Because people think stand-up comedy is difficult. It's so much fucking easier than dating, family, friends, all that.
Ironing.
People do.
Yeah. Oh, is it me or is the connection just a bit?
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering. Is it my connection or is it your guys' connection?
I don't know.
I might be mine because mine's a bit fucking.
You both
shit.
look okay on mine, but I don't.
It looks all right. Let's just carry on anyway. Is there? So where? By the way, where are you locked down? Are you in Glasgow?
Yeah, I'm in Glasgow. I'm in just my flat. It's weird. I never actually spent any time in my flat, particularly until now.
It's really lovely. I love the color combination at the back.
Oh, thank you.
Is that an MF Doom mask?
Was that a what mask?
MF Doom.
No, it's like basically I've been dating this guy who's terrified of aliens, and he
Right.
He scared me the other night, and I was like, well, I'm just gonna go on Amazon Prime and get a fucking alien mask to jump out. Not that I'm bitter or competitive or anything. So I bought that, but it's just like a standard mask. I don't know.
What's the other one?
Oh, that's
Gladiator, right.
Silver one.
And that is just a dinosaur and Gizmo from Gremlins. This one, man.
It's kind of terrifying, to be honest. That
it's great, man. It's honest. It's so fucking funny. I had a temptation like the morning after to put it on and then just turn to him like slowly as if like he's up from a one night stand with an alien. I never know what to put behind me though. For that's another annoying thing about like the online gigs is that you don't like usually get judged on the backdrop of the Glee because they know that that's not your backdrop.
Yeah.
But when you do like, I mean, because Vittorio, you look as if like you're about to give us some like far right fucking speech.
No, especially with the blonde hair.
Exactly, the blonde hair and the flag man is fucking.
He's set.
I mean, do you end the show by saying, and that's why socialism's fucked?
Yeah.
No, that's a different
Larry,
blonde comedian.
What I love, Larry, is you thought about the background and you thought, do you know what I'm going to go for? Dinosaurs and Gizmo.
I know, but I don't know what else to go for. I was thinking.
It looks great. I think.
I was going to go with Celtic stuff, and I see there's a Henrik Larsson.
There is, yeah.
Vittorio, and I thought I've got loads of Celtic things, but I thought if I do that, then I've been half of fucking.
This is my worry a lot of the time, and I remember I was speaking to someone like Kevin Bridges kind of deliberately doesn't mention any of it, even though he's quite a big Celtic fan, because he doesn't want to alienate like half of a city essentially. So, but it's like, I think there's a balance where like I kind of want to put forward the idea that you can be a Celtic fan and not inherently hate all Protestants. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And it's just like fine. I mean, I do hate all Protestants.
DMs to each other.
But like it's a weird, it is a weird feeling, and I mean, especially in Belfast, I just got a new Celtic hoodie from the new drop of kit and stuff from the Adidas one, and I can't wear it till I get back to London, because you can't wear a Celtic top in Belfast.
Oh,
Can you not wear it in certain areas though?
No, it's kind of not worth the risk, just in case.
Yeah.
It's fucking weird that though, isn't it?
Really bizarre.
It's insane that still happens now.
Well,
It's such a
I've
big
started
concern.
playing for this thing called East Belfast GAA, so it's a Gaelic football team, but set up in East Belfast and deliberately supposed to be mixed Protestant and Catholic, even though Gaelic is really heavily Catholic. And we've had like bomb scares at our training sessions and stuff, because the Protestant side are like super fucking angry about the GAA trying to create a mixed team.
Fucking hell, you guys really are the Asians of Europe, aren't you? It's so intense. It's like Kashmir. Jesus.
Northern Ireland is basically just North Korea, European.
A lot paler. Better haircuts though.
You sure about that?
So now let's talk a bit about kind of your career and stuff. Have you predominantly always been in Scotland? Is that where you've done most of your gigging, and then?
No, I actually I started stand up when I was doing in Southampton, doing university, and then basically I moved up to London afterwards for like 5-6 years, and I just basically I wanted I was going out with a guy in Australia, and then he was going to move over to the UK, and I wanted to buy somewhere for us to live, and then I was going to rent a place in London. But then that fucked up. I ended up buying the place before he moved over and all that anyway. So I just had this place in Glasgow. Also, I miss Glasgow. And I don't get the thing of, they always say you have to live in London. I don't understand that, because it's like, well, for me, it's like 5 hours to get to London. And if you call me last minute, I'll come last minute. It's not...
Oh, somebody's frozen.
Oh, Larry's frozen.
Okay. Oh no,
We've
lost Larry. Okay, you're back. I think
I'll tell you what I'll do, guys. I'll put it on my what do you call it? My the hotspot thingy majiggy.
Yes, and then we'll be sorted. So we'll get that sorted.
Oh man,
I've really missed technical difficulties while I've been away.
Yeah, I know. So while Larry gets that sorted out, I've recently begun to start thinking that maybe I don't need to be in London. It's so expensive. And there are great gigs all over the place popping up, particularly in England, and we'll hopefully hear about Scotland in a bit too. And also, so much of it is online, and you do the good gigs that you want to do in London. You can be more picky, I guess.
No, really, I'm never picky about gigs particularly. It's usually when I come down, I say to my agent, because I'll come down like once a month, at least, and then I would say to them, I'll be like, can we try and cram as many in as humanly possible, just so I can leave London thinking that I've done more work. But then, but when it comes to gigs, I'm never that picky about it. I actually once had this gig in Edinburgh, because like during the Fringe, I'll try and do like 100 gigs, but then there was a gig at the Three Sisters, right, and there was like the stage curtain was closed, but you would pop your head out between the stage curtain, and all the audience would see is your head. Right?
Oh, I've done that gig. It's really fun.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's fun, right? But I put my head out, and then I saw there was only like fucking 6 audience members, and a guy in the front row. I went hello, and the guy in the front row went, "You're Larry Dean," and I went, "Yeah, mate. How are you?" And then he just looks around at the other 5 people, and then goes, "What are you doing here?"
That's quite nice.
That is very nice.
It was nice, but at the same time, it made me think, why am I doing that gig? It's a good fun. It is a fun gig.
I'm trying to remember. I can't remember who it was. I did that gig with someone who said, as you say, you just put your head through this curtain and nothing else. And he was doing a bit, and then like 10 seconds into this bit, he just goes, "I just realised you can't see my hands." And then all you hear is just me howling in the background. That's absolutely fucking hilarious.
That's funny.
Anyway, is there a particular place, like when live stand-up is back in 2027, is there a particular place that you want to make a beeline for, that I have to perform here to feel like I'm back on stage again?
Probably, I'd say probably Hot Water in Liverpool.
Yes.
also I think that those kind of you know, the busy gigs that like have more than one gig a night for you to do, so they go back to back shows. I think that's going to be like so invaluable of the having been able to do as many gigs as possible quickly, so that you can get used to being back on stage again. I can't even imagine what my nerves are going to be like going back on stage again.
I was blacking out before my first one back for the thing I'm doing in my garden. Yeah, I was blacking out with anxiety in my kitchen before I went on stage. And my solution to blacking out with anxiety attacks was, well, better go on stage.
And Larry, do you normally get nervous before you go on stage? Is that a thing that you normally have?
Usually it depends. It's just like, usually I'll get nervous if it's a gig I want to go well. But then it's like, you know, when you do like an awful gig and you hate the audience before you go on, and then you think, oh well, if they hate me, I'll probably quite enjoy it. but those are the gigs I do best at because I don't care, and it's really annoying. Because I'm like, once I actually care about it, I'm a bit like, oh,
well, I had a comedian say to me that before she goes on stage, if she's at the back of the room, she'll look at all the audience members like heads from behind and go like, I love you, I love you, I love you. And I said to her, I'm the exact opposite of that. I literally look at them all and go, you're all stupid as fuck, and then go on stage. And even when they laugh, even when it's going really well, I'm like, obviously you'd laugh at that, you fucking idiots.
You're fucking stupid.
You don't get that thing of like when you're when you've done the same joke before like a lot of times, and then the audience laugh at it, and you kind of think, why do you think that's funny?
Yeah, that's definitely happened to me so many times, to the point where I've said it out loud. I've been at gigs where, you know, I've been doing the same joke for 3 or 4 months, and I'm like, just out of curiosity, why do you laugh at this joke? Because I don't know anymore. And that's what sometimes one audience member went, I don't actually know.
There's a great book by Louis Sachar, who wrote Holes, if you know the movie Holes with Shia LaBeouf in it. It's a book called Dogs Can't Tell Jokes, and it's about this kid who like is gearing up for his school talent show, and he's trying to learn how to do stand-up comedy, and he has all this like trying to build a through line through the set and this whole thing. And obviously your first gig's not fucking good, but it's just this nice story about it. And he has this joke he comes up with where it's like, how do you tell the difference between two worms? By kissing them. And it made his mum laugh when he first said it. And then in the book, it's like, that doesn't make any sense, but it seems to work rhythmically as a joke. So he like chucks it into his set and it works. And he's like, oh fuck, move on quick before they realize that doesn't make any sense. But it literally, if you get them in rhythm enough, I think you just say anything that sounds like a punchline and they're on board.
Totally. Like even on Twitter, there's an account called I think it's a account like called Children Write Jokes.
Yeah.
And it's some of them are fucking. I'm like, I could not possibly write that. Like, what's the difference between an elephant and the Pope? Yellow, and it's just like intense at all. But you're just like, oh, that's a good one. I do like.
I remember going to a barbecue. One of my friends, his kid's like 5, maybe 6, and the kid found out I was a comedian. So he goes, "What's that?" And I said, "Oh, I tell jokes." And he goes, "I've got a joke." I said, "Okay." And I was like, "This is the youngest person ever to give me." So he goes, Why did the tomato hate the mushroom soup? I said, why? He said, because it was a tomato. And he started howling, and I started howling because it kind of made sense.
That's so
funny. Of course I hate mushroom soup. It's a tomato.
That's so fucking funny.
Anyway, other than getting jokes from 6-year-olds, is there, like, talk to us about how long have you been performing stand-up, Larry, now?
10 years.
10 years? When did you hit the 10-year anniversary?
January.
Oh, does it feel like 10 years?
No, it doesn't feel like 10 years. It feels like, weirdly, it feels probably like long. It feels longer depending what gig I remember. So sometimes it feels like longer, sometimes it feels like shorter. You know what I mean? Like, you know, when you look back at what you were like at the beginning and you're like, ugh. And then you look back at even what you were like 3 years ago and you're just like, I'm not like that anymore.
Yeah. In terms of getting into it, like, did you have specific stand-ups that you were like, I really fucking like what they do, I want to be like that from the start? And has that shifted at all?
Well, I had that weird thing of, you know, when I think most people do this thing of when they start stand-up, they try and be offensive because you think, well, at least if they don't laugh at me, I'll be changing the world. So I kind of wanted to be like Frankie Boyle, but then I began to just be like, I don't think it really suits me. And it was also that thing of, you can't, like, if you do offensive stuff, unless you really shoot it, you're kind of fucking yourself over because you're like, you are costing yourself work, you're upsetting people without being able to go, well, it's funny, because a lot of my stuff I was like, I know it's not funny, but I just couldn't think of anything else that was funny apart from Madeline McCann or just some shit like that. But then so you can't really have a defense to it either. So then when I started just doing cleaner stuff, I mean, I'm not particularly clean, but then I find it really weird when people get offended at some of the stuff I do, because I'm like, well, talking about sex, it's not like, I'm not really, you know, being that offensive. What's bizarre is, like, I always find it weird how if I was to do a joke about homeless people, the chances are it wouldn't be as offensive to most people as me doing a joke about bum sex.
Yeah.
But then but there's like, well, if anything, homeless people is much more of a thing to get offended about making fun of.
I thought you were going to be like, if anything, homeless people enjoy bum sex the most. So
come on, that's the director's cut of the YouTube live. We'll get into that. I was talking to my pal about that though, because like I'm into Neds, and he was like, "Do you ever walk past homeless people?"
Yeah,
and be like, "What?"
I remember seeing one homeless dude with his top off. He was ripped to fucking shreds. I was like,
"That's heroin for you."
Yeah. Jesus, okay.
I know. But the thing is, I've got that thing for, like, I'm into like Neds and chavs and stuff, and I thought I think it's because of like the homophobic upbringing that I've almost like I find something sexy about repression, and I was thinking maybe that, like, if a homeless guy had been chucked out of home because he was gay, I'd probably find that really sexy.
Have you talked about this on stage? This is really funny.
No, because half the time when I actually talk about like my actual thoughts, people kind of stop laughing and kind of get a bit concerned. I was chatting to my pal about this today because I told my pal I was doing this. And then I was saying about some of the stories I've been doing online and stuff, and how it just wouldn't work as stand up, because like sometimes when you do a story, you know, right, so there's always like levels of a story. It's like sometimes a story's so unbelievable, but it's true, but it makes it really funny. But then they have to get a level of believability. Because I always think when someone tells me a story that I think, is that true? And I think, well, why would they make that up? How would that come into their head? If anything, this is weird. But some of the stories I've told on stage, or some of my thoughts, people have just been like, that's not funny, that's just fucking weird. And even if that's not true, that's fucking weird to even began to think that in the first place. And I think fucking homeless people probably would be one of them.
Well, give it a go.
I think it's worth a try.
The topic, actually, I had this one of, because, you know, like, we've all got weird habits. Like, just kind of, for instance, some people, like, have a way of unclogging the toilet that's a bit strange.
Okay, right, that kind of stuff, okay.
Yeah, and I did this bit on stage before. It was about how whenever I pooed, I used to do this, I don't do it anymore because I found out it was weird, but whenever I went for a poo, I had to take all my clothes off. I couldn't poo with any clothes on. But I had to, so like people would see me taking my clothes off, and I'm on my way for a shit.
Did you have a shit in public?
Not until recently, no. But then you've always got that kind of, well, there's an emergency. I've never shat on a train or a plane.
No, me
or
neither.
a bus. I can't shit when the floor's moving.
Yeah, I did like fucking 9 hours on a flight to India. I was like, I'm just not gonna shit. Like, there's no, I just don't.
And then you went to India and you had no choice but to shit.
Yeah, I shat a lot when I was there. I was like, I'll get it out. It'll be fine.
So do you still shit with your clothes off?
No, I keep my clothes on now, man. I have casual shits now.
Smart casual Fridays.
That's really funny. You alluded to it slightly earlier in terms of writing offensive material. Are there jokes that you think that you steer clear of, that you don't want to touch, or do you think anything goes in comedy?
I don't know. I usually stay clear of race stuff, because it's even the thing of, if I did some black gigs in London when I was like first starting out. Yeah. But you have to acknowledge, but like not even the fact that I'm white, the fact that I am actually genuinely
see-through
white.
yeah, super white.
Yeah, exactly. I'm the whitest thing most people have fucking seen, right? So I have to, like, you do a joke about it there, but it's the thing of, half the time of doing jokes about racist stuff, I wouldn't do it because people just even get uncomfortable at the topic. and you can, even if you've got because nowadays intention counts for nothing.
Yeah.
So even if your intentions and the way that the material is going is about race, but you're on the correct side of it, but then what's going to happen is people are still going to be like, I think you're making a joke of something that's serious, and it's a bit like, well,
yes,
bitch,
obviously.
that's not a job.
That's right. That's literally.
Yeah.
There's that bit in the new Doug Stanhope special where he says like, why have we allowed the phrase making fun to be anything negative whatsoever? It's like, oh, how dare I take something that's so dark and shitty and terrible and make it fun? What a dickhead I must be.
Totally, man. It's ridiculous. It's disgraceful. I mean, we shouldn't laugh about anything. Even, I think roast battle was like, if you hashtag roast battle search on Twitter, some of this, it's mental, some of the stuff that people get annoyed at, because I did a joke about paedophilia, AIDS, and people were having a go at me for the AIDS thing, but I'm a bit like, I just talked about paedophilia in the last joke.
Yeah,
so
it's weird.
You can't, but the thing is, a lot of these like offensive jokes, it's like, well, you can't just pick and choose what's definitely offensive just for your own taste, because then nothing's going to ever get said ever again.
I was going to say, people are commenting on YouTube a lot. Rob Kemp.
Is there any bad ones?
We're all cancelled.
Is that
Kemp says, love
Eshaan. Boyfriends fucking messaging.
Rob Kemp very pointedly says, love Eshaan and Larry. Sorry, Vittorio.
Fucking.
Hirsch Pat says, what is the worst gig you've done? That's Larry. What's the worst gig you've done?
I'm trying to remember. It's difficult to go the worst because there's been some fucking shockers. But, the one that really sticks out is one of my first ones. I did a gig at the Stratford Theatre.
The Royal, that one.
Yeah. And the audience were just talking when I was on, because
black gig.
Very good. Yeah, black gig.
Okay.
And I was doing my racist stuff and it wasn't working. But I was what's it called? I was doing my stuff, right? And I wasn't very good, but the compere also introduced me as, pretty new. And you kind of think, I think a lot of audiences think when it's a new person, they might be shit, but let's give them a fucking try.
Yeah.
But they just didn't. They just talked through my fucking set. And then a woman and her boyfriend were in the front row, and she was talking to her boyfriend. And I asked her, I go, do you mind not talking when you're in the front? And then she goes, just ignore me. And I went, well, that'll be easy because I'm gay. I'm not interested in cunts. And then when I did that, a woman at the back of the room says, we don't say that word round here. And I said, well, I'm sure you've heard it a few times before.
I love this.
This is great.
No, I was in my Frankie Boyle fucking offensive.
Yeah, you were, yeah.
Then they all started booing, and then I got off. I think that's probably one of the worst ones. But the worst ones that aren't, because they're good. That's a good story to tell people about a bad one. So it's not actually that bad a gig. The worst ones is when nobody laughs and there's nothing funny about them not laughing.
Yeah, not even any hecklers. It's just dead sad. They want you to do really well, and you just don't.
Yeah, the indifference is awful. And also, whenever I do that, and if I do physical jokes like the dinosaur or the fucking stupid lunch shit, if that gets nothing, you feel like the loneliest man in the world, like just waddling along with a fucking dinosaur impression, and everyone's just sat there being like, no.
You know when I feel the loneliest is when after a gig someone comes up to me and says, well, I enjoyed it.
Oh.
yeah.
And you're like, oh God, you were the last person I wanted to enjoy this.
yeah. It's never the person you look at before the gig and go, that's my audience.
Tell us about your writing process, just a brief bit. Has that changed with you over the last 10 years? You said that you look back at yourself sometime 3 weeks ago, you're like, who the fuck was that person? But has the process changed?
No, it's kind of been the same pretty much the whole time. I probably should change it. I never write stuff down like word for word. And I usually will come up with it from a conversation with a pal. And then usually I'm on the phone, because I usually go for like walks all the time, because I'm really cool. And but when I'm going for a walk, I'll phone my pals, and then I'll just chat about just what I've been up to. And then if I see a line that gets a laugh, I'll just be like, 2 seconds, mate, and I'll just type it in my phone, and then I'll always write it on pieces of paper and stuff. I don't like keeping it on my phone. I like always having a piece of paper on my whiteboard or something like that.
And write it down. So let's do that then. Have you had a chance to think about some stuff recently that you talk about?
I have had a little thought about some things. The issue I've got is basically I've not thought, you know, when you think of like a fully fledged idea and then you think, well, I'll come up with the jokes, but I've got the premise there.
Yeah.
I've come up with the jokes before the premise.
Whoa.
So it's mainly, right, the first, right, okay, right, ready for this, motherfuckers?
Yes!
Right, come on, Bob Aggs, here we go. So I'm holding out a piece of paper like I'm in the middle of a village giving some bad news.
You do look like the head of the Residents Association right now, to be honest.
The following people in the community are gay. So, right, one of them was, right, it's a little story. I went down to get a cup of coffee, and I've got this thing now of, since I'm not used to talking to people, I kind of zone out a lot more since I've rejoined society, and I've got you get like a resting bitch face.
Yeah,
I've got like a resting face because I keep remembering things from like yonks ago because I've had too much time to think, and it's kind of like that, right?
like a PTSD face almost.
Yeah, right. And I caught my reflection when this guy who turned to me when, "What are you up to today, Larry?" And I'd never talked to him before, but I've had a crush on him for fucking like months. And the thing I've got is usually I don't act weird around my crush. If I've got a crush on someone, I act the same way as a straight guy does around a mechanic.
We know.
Yep.
We know what
I'll
that
try
is.
that fucking like make myself seem a lot more of a kind of like a lad kind of thing, man. I'm like, yeah, whatever, yeah, exactly, man. Let's fucking punch some boobs and stuff. So, but this guy caught me in the middle of a weird memory, right? And one of the weird memories was, and this goes back to almost the stories that aren't really believable, is I was in a hotel room last year, and the walls of the hotel room were so thin that I farted and I heard the person in the room next to me tut. Cool. Next joke.
That's very good.
It's true though. Anyway, 100% true. Also, I did a joke because I've been trying to sort my skin out. Because have you seen these fucking eye bags, man? I've got a joke saying about how my eye bags they look like a smoker's wallpaper.
It's very train spotting.
So fucking stupid.
I know. I love stupid jokes. Oh, anal lube. Do you know there's a thing called anal lube, by the way?
Anal, yeah. Well, hold on. I was going to say this.
Yeah, of course, yeah. No, I genuinely didn't know there was such a thing as
Is
anal
it
lube.
different? Is it different from normal lube?
Yeah, it's different from normal lube. Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah,
Wow.
I know, and it's better. It's like amazing.
That's weird because I thought I could put ghee anywhere. No, I'm joking. Carry on.
Well, I joke on it because anal lube's better, and my new joke on it was that anal lube's so good that I'm pretty sure if I was to put anal lube on my car, I could fit it into my cupboard.
Is that
really
the funniest image of your car? Because in my head I was like, I could get my car through my front door. Is like, like of that image. Because when you said cupboard, I thought chest of drawers for some reason, which is equally funny. But I was like,
It is equally funny.
It's a bizarre thing that you think, why would you ever want to get it into as if it's been something planning on doing for a while. Like, oh man, if only I could fucking take the car up the cup.
And also, cupboard, just the consonants of it make it sound more appealing. Cupboard, and when you end,
Aye. And it's always that thing I have to figure out of like what is going to be understandable in my accent if I do a new joke on it. Because but even the what do you call it? Like even if when you've got like when I was saying about stories not even being believable, I was thinking I wondered whether or not to even try and do stuff and being hypnotized, because I got hypnotized last week for getting rid of my my addiction to to e-cigarettes. Right. And but you know how everyone finds the Scottish accent funny? that's still the case. If you're Scottish people still find their accent funny. We know we talk weird and we quite enjoy it. But then this guy who was hypnotised Scottish, and as soon as I heard his voice and as soon as I saw him on Zoom, I was like, there's no fucking chance this is ever going to work. And just a Glasgow guy, because I've been hypnotised before and it's worked because it's been like a posh American lady who's going to like calm everything. But then this guy was like, right, so I'm going to count back from 100 and you're going to relax.
100, 99.
You're probably the same with the Belfast accent, to be fair.
Yeah, fucking. If you count back from 100 in a Belfast accent, it's the least relaxing thing in the world. It creates very different feelings.
That's so funny. So those are the three kind of bits that they're like little bits.
Yeah, I think I've got other stuff up on the whiteboard, but those are the only ones that really kind of came to mind recently because, well, I mean, I've been working on my new show and stuff, and those are the bits I've not even tried on stage for the new show stuff. Because like the other, go on, sorry.
So I was going to say, so tell us about the new show. Is it how's that working? So we're not going to Edinburgh this year. So is the plan to potentially take to Edinburgh next year, or do you just want to go on a tour?
I want to go on Edinburgh next year, but then I don't know what. I mean, it's just I do whatever the fuck my agent tells me to be honest, man. I'm a bit like I'll be happy to get any fucking gig at this rate. Especially after some of those jokes. But also, it's because I'm wondering if I was to wait and do Edinburgh, I'm thinking by that time that show, I'll be bored of that show. Yeah. Even like when you're not doing the jokes every night, you still get bored of the joke because you've known it for a few months.
Yeah,
doing it, and some of the stuff in it is like it's referencing a breakup. Some of it is referencing this breakup that I had. Like now it's like a year and a half ago, and I'm thinking by next year people will be like, move the fuck on, mate. Which is annoying because some of the jokes are like fucking.
Yeah, well, you can always like frame that as if it was fucking last week or whatever. But it's more for I think like. There's a mate of mine, Aaron McCann, who's been on this show. I don't know if you've met him, Larry, but like he's a fantastic comedian. He always says his like yearly hour-long show, he just wants to represent where he is in his life at that point. So if you're talking about stuff from like 2 years, it's like it doesn't feel like who you are now because we're always kind of moving on and like learning shit and like growing. So it's like
unless that stuff gives you context for who you are now.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah, so I mean, a lot of my stuff I ruminate like constantly. Like I'll find it funny looking back on stories that happened years ago, and being like, "Wow, that was really fucked up and weird."
Yeah,
like, but then you kind of get a bit paranoid of like, how did I lose that weirdness? Because like the way you are as a kid, I think if anybody thinks about that stuff enough, you kind of go, "Wow, what was it that made me kind of go? No, I'm gonna grow up a wee bit." Like, I'm not going to fucking set fire to this thing. I'm not going to, like, start a fight when I'm pissed or whatever like that.
Yeah. Well, someone just asked, has Larry ever tried surrealist comedy? Has that ever been a phase that you've been through? Or no?
I don't know. I don't know if it's like... What is surrealist comedy? I always find that weird. It's like, what, putting a fucking frying pan on my head or something? Like...
I'd say a good example would be, like, Mitch Hedberg, maybe.
Mitch Hedberg, Tony Law, to an extent.
All right. No, I've not... I don't know. I think I can't. I don't think I've ever what do you call it? Even consciously thought of what style of comedy I'm going to do. But then what's ended up kind of coming out is, well, I think a wee bit from a few years ago, but now even more so. It's just been silly and smutty.
Yeah,
the shit I like.
And you're also very physical. Like you're also very physical. Have you always been like that way, or were you quite still?
No, man. I used to fucking stand like that. I think I used to be a proper fat cunt as well, man. So I was trying to cover up my tits. So I think now that I've lost the weight. Although a guy who just met me said to me, he was like, if they ever make a real version of The Nightmare Before Christmas, you could play Jack because your fucking legs go all over the joint with him.
That's so funny.
I know, I was like, I fucking love that, man. I think, though, it's kind of on purpose that I do the physical stuff because when I was watching myself back, I fucking cringe so much. But then if I do something weird, like if you take a picture of yourself and you look weird, or if you look at a joke that you already know you told, you're always going to find the picture that looks weird funnier. why I do the physical stuff, because whenever I watch myself back, at least I'm going, well, I was planning on acting that weird.
Yes,
and
so
I
it's
can't see it when I'm
deliberate.
on stage.
I had a weird thing when I was a kid where for maybe a span of about 3 years, I was so paranoid about blinking in photographs that I would go cross-eyed in every single one because then I wouldn't blink. So there's a whole like section of photo albums in my house where I'm just like in every single photo.
I love the way our brains justify things to ourselves as well. Your brain at some point was like, yeah, this is fine.
Well, I won't blink, you know? It's like, but you have cross eyes.
I can never, a bit like Chan, I can never smile for a picture properly.
Well, go on, show us your smile, man.
That's what I do for a photo.
Hold on, your teeth though. I don't understand the non. Yeah, it's better.
I can't do it.
It's much better though. Like I don't see why people don't show their teeth when they smile, because that's so put on when people do.
But I can't. Yeah, but your teethy smile was quite. So tell us about your shows then. So are they normally themed, or do you just go for, I'm going to do an hour of jokes? This is what I'm doing.
Well, the theme for the past 4 years has been about my benderism and
Benderism.
I know, yeah, the affliction. But I think it's it's kind of weird because I don't really have a theme. But then I usually just find a story and I go, oh, that'll be the kind of theme, and that'll kind of move through it. I think the only time I've actually gone, this is a definite theme, was Bampot, because that was about my breakup. But then even that, I didn't actually think before I'm going to have this. I thought I'm just going to come up with all the fucking jokes I can. Mm-hmm. And then like a few weeks before the Fringe, I was like, oh, actually, this seems to all be about me crying and being lonely, so I'll just go with that. So I decided to be the theme. I think it's weird when people have a set agenda, because I think that, well, I find it weird because I couldn't do that. I couldn't think I'm going to do an entire show about, space or some shit like that, because I'd feel a bit like, that thing of, what do you call it when you're distracted and you don't get to work? No, when you distracted, you don't get to work. You're distracting yourself.
Procrastination.
Procrastination,
yeah. That thing of positive procrastination. Yeah. Of when you're most creative when you're busy doing something else. Yeah. And so I'm pretty sure if I was actually to write a show about space, I'd probably write the greatest show I've ever wrote about something nothing to do with fucking space. Yeah. Going, this is fucking shit. Why are we talking about fucking space, man?
Yeah. I was going to ask you actually, because I think, no, you might be, I don't know. But you mentioned, benderism, for want of a better phrase.
You're not allowed to say that, Eshaan.
Let's get Eshaan on the fucking front page of Total. Brian, you don't get cancelled, mate.
And I remember a couple of years ago, Stephen Bailey was talking about how he feels that the gay experience in comedy is a tough one. And I'd be interested to know what you think about that. Do you think that the story of being gay and jokes about being gay is a tough thing to do now?
No, but I come from a bit of a privileged thing because I'm not camp, so I couldn't really say of what it's like to be I couldn't say what it's like to be a gay comedian in the sense of what people would usually assume a gay comedian was. So if I come out as a bender on stage, people are going to be like, I've got it before, and I hate it's like a compliment, but at the same time, I'm like, I don't like that compliment. It's not a nice compliment of when people go, "Oh, you're all right," because you're not one of those pure camp ones. Kevin Bridges again, isn't it?
He's very involved.
Very good.
But then what's it called? When people when Stephen does it, it's obvious as soon as Stephen walks on stage that he's gay, and I hope he knows that. Otherwise, he's
you're in for a shock, Stephen.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I've been like at the center stage going, listen, tone it down, mate. But here's some Viagra, it'll stiffen your wrists. But when I do it, it's not the same. But even when the annoying thing, the one thing I find really fucking infuriating is if I do material about checking somebody out or in a relationship, and I know for a fact if I was to do the same joke about having a girlfriend, it would work. for some reason people still count that as gay stuff, and then so they kind of go,
Oh.
you're
Yeah.
not talking about being gay, and I'm like, I'm not talking about being gay. I'm talking about me
Relationships.
and a partner or whatever. But then, I mean, if I'm saying they on using the kind of pronouns of like non-gender specific, then the issue I'm going to get with that is basically I'm going to kind of tangle myself in my head of like, because I know my boyfriend is he, so then I'm like, I'm going to give a whole new character, and I'll just confuse myself.
Yeah.
So I just go, fuck it. If they've got an issue with it, it doesn't matter. But then some gay people even are like, you talk about being gay a lot, and I'm like, hey, do you hate yourself? What's wrong with me talking about it? It's a new joke.
Yeah.
Do you ever find I spoke to
So my wife and kids get really fucked off.
Yeah.
Woo! Zing!
That's right. That's going in the show. Right on the whiteboard.
Do you ever find that I spoke to Tom Allen briefly, and he said he felt some element of like, I mean, he's very camp. He's one of those where he would go on stage and people would be like, oh, he's gay. But it's like, he said when he was starting out, he maybe wasn't as camp on stage, but felt like an obligation to mention it, to get it out of the way, like almost. And we've spoken, Eshaan, about like, I feel obliged to go on stage in England and go, isn't this accent funny? And then get on with the jokes. Do you ever, because I consciously try and sometimes do sets where I don't acknowledge my accent whatsoever. Do you ever do sets where you don't mention the fact that you're gay at all?
Yeah, well, I do sets, but not say the phrase "I'm a bender" or "I'm gay" or whatever. But I talk about my boyfriend. But then what will happen is there'll be like a minute and a half, 2 minutes of audience members kind of going,
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Does he realise he's gay?
Does he know he's saying boyfriend?
He said boyfriend.
Yeah.
He said boyfriend.
Should we tell him afterwards? I think
Sorry, mate, you said boyfriend. You said boyfriend.
Oh, I tell you what, actually, I once had it of I says I'm a bender on stage after a gay comedian was on, and an old white guy in the front row went, "Oh, not this shit again." But then when it comes to those cunts, I'm always a bit like, well, I'm gonna make it gayer. Like, if I'm quite a fucking petty, bitter cunt, so I'm a bit like, if someone is like being a dick for no reason, I'm a bit like, don't worry, I specialize in being a dick for no reason to you as well.
Yeah.
When they do that, I'm a bit like, fine, I'm gonna make it as gay as possible just to fuck you off.
Yeah,
Sorry, everybody else.
I love leaning into it. I remember I was doing a gig in Blackheath, which for people listening who don't know, posh as fuck area of
Very
London.
posh, yeah.
And I told my first IRA joke, and then they were like, ooh. And I was like, oh, you don't like IRA jokes, do you not? And then told 4 more, just because I was like, well, fuck you. Like, fuck you. They're my jokes to tell, okay?
Hey, fucking good on you, man. It's a bit like them getting annoyed at it, but like, well, do you not think the cunt with the fucking Irish accent is the one who's had to deal with this?
Yeah. It's like, what are you fucking... Oh, man.
Do you... I suspect, and correct me if I'm wrong, Larry, you've probably, and say for Vittorio as well, you've probably done gigs where, you know, a large section of the audience don't like the fact that you're gay at all, and there might be a tension in the air, but there's also like a really liberal audience that you perform to who love the fact that you're gay. Is there a difference? Do you prefer one over the other?
I prefer the ones that like obviously like the benders, but then but the annoying thing is they get annoyed at me for saying the word bender.
Right, yeah. And they police the language you're using, yeah.
Yeah, so it's a bit like, I think most people now I think most people who are not on Twitter, who are not always on Facebook, who are not doing all these like getting offended at everything, I think most people are actually the ones who don't get offended at absolutely everything and are quite reasonable. And a bit like, I think if I was to hear like somebody from another minority or whatever using a word about their people that they are allowed to use, like the same way that I use the word bender, I don't think I would ever tweet them or ever have the fucking audacity to be like, you shouldn't be allowed to use that word, even though it's to do with nothing to do with my community, it's to do with your community. I find it.
I love the way that person was from Edinburgh.
No, I've gone on Kevin Bridges, now I'm going to Ian Stirling. Okay, yeah. Look about that.
I've had people tweet me, DM me about my Twitter handle being Michael Packentire. And people are like,
I didn't want to say that out loud though, because I was like, well, I don't know if this is being recorded.
No, but I've had people write to me and be like, you're making it harder for people of that community. I'm like, what community? What Packies? Is that? Did you want to say the? They can't, obviously.
It is weird, and it's like when you're using these words, it's like, hey, obviously we know that you're not supposed to say this. Yeah. That's why we're fucking saying it.
That's
the whole fucking point.
Making fun.
Exactly. It's like the word fag I never use unless it's somebody who would actually be offended at being called one of a straight person who didn't want to be called one. You know what I mean? I would never call a gay person a fag. Yeah. I would definitely I'd call a homophobe a fag.
Yeah,
that's the worst thing I could call them.
Of course.
I love being...
That is good.
I was trying to write a bit about this where it's like, I like being woke, but in like not woke ways. So you're on the right side, but you argue it really shitly. So it's like I had what was the sentence? It was like, catcalling women is so gay. Because the people that catcall women would hate being called gay.
Yeah.
But
it's offensive on so many grounds.
Eshaan, do you ever get the thing of people comedians message you for a permission slip to use a race joke? I get people going, is this homophobic?
Oh my!
Hold on, I'll send the email out and double check.
Yeah.
There are at least 16, 17 comedians who, throughout my time, have messaged me and said, right, I just want to find out if you think this is racist.
God, Eshaan, imagine I did that every time I had a sketchy race joke.
My phone would be, no one else would be able to call me.
I have a bit to work on right now about two women in hijabs that gave me a funny look for wearing a mask.
Do it. Let's do the bit.
I was picking up a burrito and I put on my mask and these two women in hijabs gave me this weird look and laughed at me. And I was like, the fucking cheek of it. If I was expecting support from anyone for wearing a face covering, it would be fucking you. That'd be like Bobby Sands complaining about Ramadan. It's just not sensible. And people get so fucking tense. But it's like, look, they wear face coverings. Yeah. I was wearing a face covering.
Yeah.
It's like...
if there's anyone you expect solidarity from, it's...
yeah. And it's not like you shouldn't wear face masks. It's like, I'm okay to wear one as well when I want to. But people freak out. It's fun though.
How do you know they were freaked out that their faces were covered?
Anyway, they pointed at me and laughed.
Jesus. Larry, what a joy it has been to have you on the show.
Thank you for having me, Pat. I just even look at the fucking reflection of you. Have I been pale as fuck, gleaming the whole time?
Couldn't tell the difference.
Oh, great. Thank you.
Like I said, I think you look great. I think you look
thanks,
really good.
Mate. I've been doing the skincare route. Oh, fuck. Actually, I've got one more joke to do with skincare.
Do it.
Right. So, but this is offensive, right? Okay. Ready, guys? Right. So basically, I'm going to have to reword this because when you do a bit that you go, all right, they said something and then I said something even funnier. Makes you look like a dick. But this is what happened and I'm going to have to try and turn it into I overheard this conversation.
Right.
So basically, I was talking to this girl about my skincare routine.
Yep.
She's about 40 or whatever, and I thought she might give a fuck about it. And then she went, why do you just get jizz on your face? Because apparently that's anti-aging. And I said, well, that'd explain why you've got the tits of a 14-year-old.
That's really
excellent.
Because I've called her a slut and I've called her flat-chested in the same go. I was like, boom. She didn't laugh. I laughed for a good hour after that.
That is fucking brilliant. That should go in the show.
Thanks, mate. I don't think I think I'll have to say, I overheard somebody say this. But then, yeah, it's all right. As long as I get the laughs on one stage by seeing someone else say it.
That makes me sad. I hate having to give the credit to someone else.
But you thought it.
There's a bit that I have where I pretend I give myself a nickname that I had in primary school, and everyone goes, only kids could come up with that. And I'm like, I fucking came up with that.
Yeah, the amount of times you've had to blame your racist nan for that routine.
I didn't say it. They said it.
It's such a good
God.
framing device. I've done it so many times.
It's the worst fucking. It's the most annoying thing though when you see like the kind of open mic comedians say, "Oh, my racist nan said this thing," and then you're just like, "No, she fucking didn't. You thought it."
Look, what I do is like I blame my racist neighbour for thoughts that I've had.
That's
Yeah,
good.
you real self-hating.
Yeah, all the racist shit. My neighbour. Larry, where can people find you?
All my what do you call it? Social media stuff is at Larry Dean Comedy, which I hate. I hate the name of it, but I couldn't think of anything else.
Does the
I
job.
don't know what I could change mine to. Yours is my favourite Twitter thing, but I don't know what I can't go like, Michael Fagenhire.
Fag and hire. Like an escort service. That's so funny. Oh god.
What was the thing I thought of tonight? Oh yeah, because I was thinking, when you come up with Twitter names, you think this is pointless. I ever thought I was like, I could call myself Pablo Escobar for life. I was like,
That's great.
But I was thinking you'd have to really like my comedy to fucking remember that. Larry Dean Comedy.
Let's go bad for life. Well, look, follow Larry Dean. He is absolutely brilliant. One of the very best comedians in the country. Vittorio.
If you're on iTunes, give us a 5-star review. If you're on Spotify, subscribe. If you're on iTunes, subscribe. If you're on YouTube, don't forget to hit the thumbs up button and hit subscribe on this channel. Check us out. We're on Tuesdays at 7:30. This podcast is available on iTunes, Spotify, and available to watch back on YouTube. But if you want to get involved in the comments, be there at 7:30 on Tuesdays. Thank you very much for tuning in to Doing Bits. We will catch you next week.
See you next week. Bye.
Bye.
Peace, Mel.
Lovely.